Eat like a king who's on a budget. 3 tasty options, fries, drink, and nuggets. All for $5. Wait, that can't be right. Just confirm that that's the real price. BK, have it your way.
We are live. Welcome in to week 1 of the NFL season. We are finally here.
Today's the
Charlie
day.
and I are in today to discuss the week 1 NFL matchups along with our favorite fantasy football starts and sits of the week. It is a really good slate of football, a lot of controversial players and a lot of controversial matchups, and we don't have anything to really go off of. So, Charlie, I'll let you kind of just start it off here. Between the two games, which one was a better game for you to watch on the Thursday and Friday game?
Oh, the Thursday game was so weird because it was a great game until the weather, I guess, stopped it. And so I really enjoyed both games because the first game was awesome for they were scoring just back and forth for those first 3 drives for each team. They both put it in the end zone, which was crazy. I can't believe AJ Brown just almost goosed us in week 1. I guess that was just the matchup.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, what's your kind of take on the whole Eagles pass catching situation now with Devonta Smith only having 4 points? We saw Jalen Hurts have 2 rushing touchdowns. Saquon's doing his usual thing. Goddard, really of anything, had the best game with 6 catches. Are you concerned at all about? Because I'm somewhat concerned with the Eagles, but it's nothing that we didn't
concern
see
as last year, though. Yeah, exactly. It's the same concern as last year because it's just the matter that Jalen Hurts ran in the touchdowns. I mean, that's all that it comes down to at the end of the day when you look at it. If Devonta Smith caught a touchdown, his day wouldn't have been terrible. But you should expect at least one of those guys to score a touchdown every game. I mean, they're the 2 best receivers on that team, and I would expect them to start throwing the ball more this season. But we definitely didn't see that regression in week 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think with the Eagles, you just have to expect that they're always going to be a run-heavy team. But I think the Eagles looked a little lackluster, to be honest with you. I mean,
really,
when you have the new offensive coordinator coming in, I just don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year with Kellen Moore because
they scored on the first 3 drives of the game. I thought that was pretty impressive.
And what happened after that, though?
Well, there was a delay. There was a lot going on. I mean, it's totally different.
Guess,
and the Cowboys finally started selling out for the run. The way that I saw the game was that the Cowboys finally realized how they should actually play against this team, and they didn't really know how to do that with Micah Parsons leaving before, and then they figured it out for that second half and actually started clogging up the trenches a little bit, which was important. That would have opened up the passing attack for A.J. Brown, for Devonta Smith, but they never did it until the very end of the game, and at that point, scoring was stalled. It just kind of stalled out the game. I expect later on in the season for the Eagles to be much more involved in the passing, especially with how the game script will go. It's not going to be raining. It's not going to be lightning out. It's just how that game kind of went. I think it got away from them, and A.J. Brown just kind of took a back seat. But next week will probably be different.
I could see it. I don't know. I know he had all day in the pocket, and we know the Cowboys don't have any type of defensive line without Parsons now in terms of a pass rush. So it just doesn't make me feel as confident in the Eagles when Hurts was given all day in the pocket and there still wasn't much downfield for him to throw to. It was mostly runs, and Hurts played a really good game and they won the game due to mishaps by the Cowboys. But I think
they threw down the field once, but Jahan Dotson caught it. I mean, they had a 50-yard catch.
Yeah, Jahan Dotson's going to have a role on this team. I mean, they traded for him, not a fantasy relevant role, but I think a real life relevant role where he might catch 2 passes a game that could be important.
He was certainly the best wide receiver on that Eagles team for that game.
Absolutely. But, looking at the Cowboys side of the ball, it kind of felt like how I kind of envisioned it as soon as, they drafted Tyler Booker and added George Pickens, and it's going to be an explosive offense. They had 3 straight 12-5 seasons before this year. And so they've been a great team outside of last year with the injuries. CeeDee Lamb, 7 for 110, but with 4 drops. So, with the Lamb and Pickens target share, Pickens only with 4 targets. How did you kind of see this? Are you concerned about that at all for next week and, the weeks afterwards?
We don't have to talk about Lamb too much because it's week 1. He had some drops. He was great. He was wide open all day. I mean, he was cooking Adoree Jackson. I don't know why Adoree Jackson was ever trying to guard him. It should have been Quinion Mitchell, and he needs to step up because the Eagles defense lacks at that cornerback 2 spot. But CD played great. I'm not worried about that at all. I want to talk about George Pickens and the backfield because George seemed to take plays off like usual. He seemed to, go slow when he's not involved in the play, and he just has these spurts, and that's kind of who he is as a player. And it disappoints me, honestly, because this Cowboys offense is going to be super pass happy, and they're going to throw the ball a ton. Dak, I think, is going to have a pretty darn good season. I wouldn't expect him to not have a good season, but it does seem like Pickens is going to cap his own upside in this offense just because of the type of player that he is, and it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that's just part of it. We kind of knew that with Pickens coming in, that's
I thought he could have been really, really good. I thought he had the potential to be really good, but I don't think he's going to do that now.
No, I don't think he will either, but I do think, it's only 1 week. The Eagles do have they do have 2 good corners in their secondary. So I don't think it's end all be all, but I think with Pickens, he is going to be a lot more boomer bust. And I think people were hoping, a lot of people thought he was going to be that consistent option that you could get maybe 5 to 6 catches a game from, and then you have the touchdown in the long and the deep play upside. But I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. And so I think that's where the concern with Pickens comes. And he might be a matchup based player now where, if they're going to go into a shootout, he's a good player. But if it's going to be a low scoring game, I just don't know if you can rely on the volume that he's going to get in this offense to be good enough for your fantasy lineup.
Yeah, this backfield is really interesting, though, with Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, where Javonte scored 2 touchdowns. And I think that we can expect him to be in a position like that on a weekly basis where he's going to be extremely touchdown dependent. So, don't get it twisted thinking Javonte might be really good for fantasy all year, but it's definitely important to understand that this workload and the backfield was a big split between Miles Sanders and Javonte, even though Javonte got the touchdowns. Next week, the touchdowns might go Miles Sanders' way, but it is promising to see that Javonte has this at least defined role as the starter to get 60% of the touches.
Yeah, I think with Javonte, if you're going to, I think the Cowboys offensive line has been great as well. So it's looking very good. But we got our first question coming in from our very own Slapdog. We got Tyrone Tracy against the Washington Commanders or Travis Hunter against the Panthers. I think for me, this is pretty easy. You got to start Travis Hunter here. I know you like Tyrone Tracy, but Travis Hunter's 2nd overall pick against the Panthers defense, that does not look very good. I think that could be kind of a shootout of a game, and they said he is going to be a full-time starter on the offensive side of the ball. So I just trust that over Tyrone Tracy, who could put up a solid 10 points, but I don't think that unless he gets in the end zone once or twice, I just don't see him having any type of ceiling higher than 15 points.
Wow, interesting. I feel like I got to disagree with you because Travis Hunter's a rookie. I just don't want to start him week 1. He might, if he goes out there and proves it already right off the rip week 1, that would be super exciting and you're good to go for the rest of the year starting him. But this week, I think Tyrone Tracy has a really good matchup. I really think that against the Commanders, they're going to be playing from behind. They're going to be passing the ball. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be able to get a lot of catches. I don't think we're going to see Cam Scatabo, who missed parts of the offseason with an injury, and Tyrone Tracy is the starter. I think we got to ride Tyrone Tracy at least a little bit at the beginning of the season while he's still the starter. Why did you pick him if you're not going to be starting him on the early on of the season with this, I think, positive matchup? They're going to be getting beat down by the Commanders. It's going to be a passing script all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if they're going to get beat down by the Commanders. I think this could be definitely a closer game.
Tracy might be involved then either way. I just think it's going to be, I just see him being involved much more than Travis Hunter, where we could see it just be a Brian Thomas game or go to the running backs. And I don't know how this Jaguars offense is going to look exactly with Travis Hunter. It worries me. Does it not worry you?
It worries me a little bit, but I don't think that Tracy's upside is anything good enough where I'm worried about sitting him. I don't think there's a situation where Tracy goes out there and scores over 20 points. Or even 15, what I said. I think Hunter,
I could definitely see him getting 5 catches, though.
8 catches, I'm not saying he will, but he could go out there, have 8 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown. Like, we've seen him do that in college. He was the Blitnikoff winner. And Trevor Lawrence, we
Yeah,
know
but
he's going to
I
the
feel like his
ball.
floor for the week is a lot lower. I mean,
It
Travis Hunter
is.
can
It
score
is.
1 or 2 points. I think Tyron Tracy is pretty much guaranteed for 3 or 4 catches, 40 yards on the ground, and then maybe another guaranteed 20, 30 yards in the air. And so if that is a floor, I think feels really, really good.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess I just don't know if I think his floor is that many catches. Like, I don't
3
know.
catches?
3 to 4 catches, I just don't
Yeah.
know if he's getting that. And
Okay.
then he follows it up with, would you start Tracy over DJ Moore? So DJ Moore is one of our sits of the week against the Vikings on Monday night. But again, the same thing for me is like, I just don't know if
No,
if
DJ
I'm
Moore
starting
over
Tracy.
Tracy. Yeah, definitely. I would go DJ Moore over Tracy in this case, but I feel a lot more confident with DJ Moore in his role in his offense than Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
So
that's true. But obviously, I wouldn't even say I feel that much more confident, but I do think that I feel a little bit more confident in the Jaguars offense against the Panthers as opposed to the Bears offense against the Vikings.
I like how you're starting Hunter. I like the confidence. I'm just a little worried, just week 1. I would like to see how it goes because they could say a lot of things, but they might take him off the field more than you think.
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. We don't know what his snap share is going to look like, and so that's going to be something that we kind of learn as time goes on with Hunter and just with the rookies in general. We got one more, Abuka or Tet this week. This is a really tough one. I am going to go with Abuka here. I just think that the matchup against the Atlanta Falcons is a great matchup. Bucks Falcons is always super high scoring. It's going to be a very nice, I believe the game's in Atlanta as well. So you're going to have the dome. Weather should not be a factor. And with Godwin and McMillan out and Auden, who is going to play, but is a little bit banged up, I think he's going to be second in line for targets, even potentially first in line. Whereas Tet, even though they're both rookies, I just am not as confident in Bryce Young as I am with Baker Mayfield.
This is like a straight 50-50, honestly, for me. I
Sure.
think you can't go wrong either way because they both have plus matchups to me, but they are both rookies. So to me, I would start Tet because he's the wide receiver 1 on his team, like for sure. Instead, I think Mike Evans is going to have a dominating week for the Bucks. Both games might be pretty high scoring. There might be passing scoring potential in both of these. So I'm excited to watch both of them, but I think Tet's just guaranteed a higher target share this game. So I'd probably lean that way, but you can't go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just got another question coming in from YouTube. Sit one of Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, or Travis Etienne. I think that, this has to be you're sitting Ricky Pearsall, I think is the guaranteed start here, receiver 1 on the 49ers against the Seattle Seahawks. But then when we think about Travis Etienne, who goes up against the Panthers versus Jawan Jennings, who is going to be playing against the Seahawks, he is coming off that injury. I think you got to sit Jennings in this one, just knowing that, who knows what his snap share is going to be when he's been missing all
You
of
think
training
the
camp.
injury was legit, or you think it was because he magically got healed after he got paid?
I don't know, but he's not magically healed. Like, he hasn't practiced fully every single day.
They took him off the injury list as soon as he got his contract, or he got that extension, not extension, but he got the
He got incentives added.
Incentives, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yep. So I think, I don't know, you like sitting him though over Etienne. I know Etienne was potentially one of your starts of the week.
Would I play Jawan or Etienne? Who's the third one again?
Ricky Pearsall.
I mean, you're definitely playing Pearsall.
Of course.
And then Etienne or Jawan.
Like, I think I'm playing
you have to
Etienne
sit
here.
Etienne. You have to sit Etienne. Yeah.
I think we're going to play Etienne here.
No. I'm sitting Etienne.
Oh, you're sitting Etienne.
Yes, I'm sitting Etienne, and I'm playing Jawan and Ricky Pearsall. Well, you shouldn't really start Ricky and Jawan in the same lineup. You should start Ricky and Travis Etienne, I guess, but that's unfortunate. But I feel like in a vacuum, I would start Ricky and Jawan over Etienne. But in this case, because Ricky and Jawan both can't score, they might both score a touchdown, but it just reduces your weekly upside if you're going to start both of them.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm with you on that one. I don't think you want to start 2 receivers on the same offense, especially with Jawan. We don't know what the injury is, if it's legit, but we'll really get to see this week. Let's talk a little bit about the Chiefs game as well. On Friday, we saw Xavier Worthy go down first play basically of their offense, or it was the second or third play maybe, but he goes out, shoulder dislocation. From what I've seen, it looks like the minimum could be about 4 to 5 weeks if it's an interior shoulder injury. The maximum would be out for the season. This is a pretty devastating injury in my eyes. I was pretty high on the Chiefs offense this year, very high on Xavier Worthy to see what a combination of him and Rashee Rice would be able to do together. And, we saw Worthy go out, and then Hollywood Brown came in and had 10 catches. So it's kind of a shame knowing that, if you drafted Worthy this year, that the Hollywood production that he had might have been what was coming to Worthy in those first 6 weeks of the season. But how high would you value Hollywood now, at least until Rashee is back?
Yeah, so let's break this down. We look at the Chiefs and we thought, okay, they're going to have Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and Xavier Worthy all offseason. We're looking at that. And obviously, that goes haywire real quick out of nowhere, where Rashee Rice is out for the middle 6 weeks, and then now, obviously, he's out for the first 6 games, which I think they were happy about, but now they might be regretting that because of Xavier Worthy's injury. But how this wide receiver core is going to play out is, like you said, Hollywood Brown is taking this Xavier Worthy role. He's going to be getting the screen passes, and he's going to be getting the deep balls. That's how it's going to be involved. Juju Smith-Schuster is playing this Rashee Rice role for this next 6 weeks. So the way that I'm looking at this is basically how you want to evaluate the future of the Chiefs season, because we have to just wait and see how, you're asking how valuable Hollywood Brown is. We have to wait and see how much of time Xavier Worthy's going to miss. If Xavier Worthy's only missing 6 weeks along with Rashee Rice, then we have to really monitor this situation based off of how Hollywood and Juju perform to decide who do we want to go with for our fantasy championships, because there might be an opportunity here this season to buy low on a Xavier Worthy or a Rashee Rice while they're suspended, while whoever has him is losing fantasy games. If you want to buy them, week 3 or week 4, we want to be aware of who's going to get the primary production. And honestly, it looks like Xavier Worthy might be way more involved in this offense when he comes back than Rashee Rice, based off of exactly what you were saying with Hollywood getting 10 catches.
Yeah, I just don't know if Worthy's even going to come back at this point. Like, it just, with his body frame, and
I'm just not putting, I'm not putting a timetable on it at all, because they haven't either. We just have to wait and see.
That's true. That's true. Yep. You only have, what those social media doctors out there are saying and bringing to light, but it is definitely going to be worrisome for Patrick Mahomes in these first 6 weeks of the season, who had a good game. He had a lot of rushing yards and he had a rushing touchdown, but it definitely is concerning.
No, he had a good game because they couldn't run the ball. Like, basically, they lost all their wide receivers, and then the Chargers sold out for the run, and the Chiefs only ran the ball. Their running backs only got 10 carries. Isaiah Pacheco had 5 and Kareem Hunt had 5. That is ridiculous for trying to win a football game. The Chiefs are going to be not very good for these next 6 weeks, and they have a tough schedule for 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking good for them, but for the Chargers, it looked great. I know that, you're a little bit higher than I am on Omarion Hampton and what he was able to do in this game. We saw him get 15 carries, or I don't know if it's 15 carries or 15 touches, but, he got the bulk of the workload. Najee Harris filled in for a couple. We saw Hassan Haskins get in the game as well, but this Chargers offense just looked absolutely fluid. Herbert was given all day in the pocket, and he just delivered throw after throw for the most part. And you had Keenan Allen, who came out, I think, is the biggest storyline. 7 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. A lot of people thought he was going to be irrelevant this season. And the question is, can he stay healthy? That's the question with him every year. But, Keenan Allen, I think, has now become a flex play.
Oh, you really think so? You really think he's going to be that involved?
I think 7 catches. He was targeted more than that too.
It does seem like they're trying to work in these rookies, though. It does seem like Trey Harris and KLS, they were trying to get on the field. They were putting them out there. It didn't result in much fantasy success, but we could see a shift by the end of the season. So, but I agree with you that Keenan is probably pretty valuable right now.
Yeah, I just don't know if I know those rookies played, but those guys barely got any snaps. QJ had a great game too. Quentin Johnson had 2 touchdowns, and he did the same thing last year, week 1. But it kind of just seems like this whole thing is just a big win for Justin Herbert. Seems like the offense is going to be a lot more pass heavy than it was last year. And so that's the biggest key of it, is that this offense and these Chargers players, the receivers could be a little bit inconsistent this year. Even Ladd McConkey. Like, I know he had a solid game. He finished with 13 points, but it's like these Chargers receivers are going to look a little bit more sketchy than I think we thought beginning of the season. But we got a question coming in here from Ryan.
Keep them coming.
Top of the morning, standard league. Which running back should I start at flex between Travion Henderson and Tyrone Tracy?
It's a good one.
Charlie, you can take this one.
No, I mean, we're full steam ahead confidence in Travion Henderson, especially this week with this matchup. Kahan and I are both pretty worried about this Raiders defense and just what it's going to look like. So this is one of the most exciting games for me this week, honestly, this Raiders and Patriots game, because it's these two garbage teams that kind of had this full overhaul of their offenses. Particularly, we've got a ton of rookie talent coming in for the Patriots, and then we have obviously the quarterback change for the Raiders. Travion Henderson might catch a bunch of passes in this game, and there's nothing really that, like, I mean, he might not be as involved because right now he is behind Antonio Gibson on the depth chart. Do I believe it? No. Am I starting Travion? Yes. I'm putting him in there because you drafted him to be a starter in your lineup. Let's see what he's capable of.
Yeah, no, I think that I think this is really tough. I just don't know with rookies
I feel
how
like
the
for
snap shares work, how the snap shares go. But I love this matchup against the Raiders for Travion Henderson.
If you're like really stacked, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think with Henderson, the amount of touches that Tracy is gonna see could be double the amount that Henderson sees, but the chance for Henderson to break a big play, I think, is just significantly higher. And unless Tracy gets that goal line work, that's the only way he outscores him. So honestly, I would just go Travion here.
Yeah, I mean, we could see this Patriots offense just not being that good. And if they don't score enough touchdowns, like, I feel like the baseline for the Raiders offense is going to be better than, and the Giants offense, the baseline at least. But the potential, I think, is so much higher for these Patriots. And it is weird, like, starting a rookie week 1 NFL, you just don't really know how it's. I would say, Ryan, you have to focus on your team. If you have a really good team around them, around these players, then I think you can go ahead and start like a Tyrone Tracy because he's going to give you that higher floor, I guess, than Travion Henderson. And if you already have star power elsewhere, you might just want that floor. But if you do need a big week, if you have a tough matchup, if you're playing against last year's league champion, they have a really good team, go Henderson. Start the guy with the upside. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to do that. So Max Crosby scares you, but the Giants left tackle's out.
So, I mean, it's just like
about the split with Stevenson.
I think that the Giants Commanders game, it's always going to be also just more of a dogfight game. I would just stay away from it. I don't know what this Giants offense is going to look like. If you're not getting the PPR points from Tracy, that makes it even more scary. And that makes it scary for Henderson too. But I think with the Raiders defense, how bad it is, I think that Henderson has upside to get in the end zone or at least get, 80 to 90 yards if he can break a big play.
I'm not really worried about Crosby for Henderson in particular, because the way that I see it is Crosby's rushing the passer. If he does get pressure, that's just going to lead to Drake May probably dumping it off more, which is what we're hoping to see this season. We're hoping to see that Drake May doesn't focus on his scrambling this year and will give the ball to Travion, who has that elite upside to kind of take things to the house from just a dump off and a check down pass. If he's getting the check downs, if he's involved in that way, he's going to be a monster in fantasy this year. But Stevenson is what worries me too. Like Stevenson in this split where Ramondre is going to get probably at least 50% of the running back carries, I would imagine, at least in this game. Otherwise, definitely. So that does scare me a lot, especially around the goal line. Like, is Travion going to score a touchdown? Probably not.
No. And I don't think he will, but it is possible. I think there's a lot higher of a chance that he breaks a long play, especially against
that's the thing. Defense. If he scores a touchdown, it's going to be more than 15 yards probably, which is super exciting. He's that kind of talented player.
Absolutely. So definitely, I think of that one, neither option looks great in a non-PPR format, but I do think you got to go with the upside here and go with Henderson. I think also good matchup, better player. I think you go with him there. let's start talking about some of these, 12 o'clock game or 1 o'clock games that we have coming up today. I mean, I'm just so excited. Like we mentioned earlier for these games.
Football's here, guys. Let's go.
It's just crazy, but we have some shitter games. We got, Steelers, Jets, and we got Dolphins, Colts. 4 teams. Don't think any of them are very good. There's a lot of potential sit players in fantasy. So we talked a lot about the Steelers-Jets game. What do you think the score of this game is going to be, and how do you think it will impact the fantasy relevant guys such as Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, Fields, and Breece Hall, I'd say, are the main guys that are getting started?
Yeah, this has got 13-10 written all over it. I would imagine I'm going to take the Steelers too in this. I think they probably score 1 touchdown, and it's probably Jaylen Warren, maybe on like a catch. I would imagine that's how I would see this game going. He scores probably, and then the Jets maybe get one touchdown too, and maybe it's Garrett Wilson or Justin Fields running it in. Probably is probably the most likely option.
Yep.
But you're sitting everyone in this game, I think, because we don't know how. I mean, we expect DK Metcalf to dominate this year in terms of target share, but he is going against Sauce Gardner this week, and this Jets defense is really good, and we don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to play in this system. So I'm sitting DK. Obviously, you're sitting Aaron Rodgers. You definitely should not be playing him. The only guy that I'm really considering starting in this game is Jaylen Warren, who in a PPR league might get a ton of pass catching upside potentially, because he is the starter. If he goes out there and he catches 5 or 6 passes as the second option potentially for the Steelers offense, that could be really valuable for fantasy. On the Jets side of the ball, like you can play Garrett Wilson, obviously you picked him as a starter. I'm not super excited for this Jets offense just in general. Are you like, do you still have Garrett Wilson in your lineups, right? As like your wide receiver?
Yeah. You took him third round. Garrett Wilson's going to be in your lineup this week. I think, Breece Hall, unless you have a genuine better option, I just can't think of why you wouldn't start, the guys that you really rode with in the draft.
Well, would you rather start like a Jalen Waddle or a Garrett Wilson, like in like a 10-man league?
I think I'm still starting Garrett Wilson because he's the only target. I think his volume could be there. If you're in a standard league, then, maybe I'm not.
Enough scoring.
What?
There's just not going to be enough scoring. This game really worries me. Like the Steelers defense, I think is just going to lock them up. I don't care.
If Garrett Wilson is, 7 for 85, that's fine.
Garrett Wilson might have 11 targets and still have a terrible fantasy day.
I think I'm willing to bet on that more. Whereas Waddle's target share, I think, is a little bit more unknown just based on what he's done the last 2 seasons.
But I don't know. When Tua is playing, Waddle consistently has a target share over 20%, and I think
we like Waddle, but again, Waddle the past 2 seasons has been awful. So it's just like until he really people are drafting him high right now for the upside, but until I see that, I don't know if I can start him over a guy that I'm taking in the 3rd round who is a top 10 receiver talent wise in some people's eyes. I mean, number one option.
I think I'm comfortable Waddle over Wilson this week. But
interesting. I don't think
not many people are making that decision. Yeah.
I think they're both fine starts, but we got one more from Ryan here. Would you go Kupp or Ibuka today in standard? I think this is the same thing. I mean, it makes it a little bit better for Kupp if it's standard, but Ibuka's a much better player and a much better offense right now. So I think Ibuka's the easy play here. I don't really like Kupp in Seattle right now until we see Sam Darnold really repeat some of that magic that he had last year. I think I need to see it first before I can be willing to start him.
Yeah, isn't that totally weird that it's like, this veteran player, Cooper Kupp, who's like the Triple Crown winner. It's like, no, we need to see it first. And we're talking about Ibuka, who's a rookie, and we're like confident already that he's going to be the better fantasy play in week 1. But I agree. I'm totally going with, because I think that the offense, like you said, is so much better for the Buccaneers. I think he has access to the field immediately with the Chris Godwin not playing. And I'm worried about the Seattle team. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be very good. I don't think their offense is going to be very good. So like you said, I need to see the Cooper Kupp production first. I need to see that he still has it. I need to see that he's the wide receiver 1 for this Seahawks team. And I need to see that Darnold isn't terrible. And when I see that, maybe we'll go with Cooper Kupp next week. But let's ride Ibuka and have some fun this week.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely the right play. Let's look at some more of these 12 o'clock games. We talked a little bit about Panthers Jaguars. We think that's going to be a high scoring game. A lot of potential on the line for both the Panthers and the Jags. When you look at starting your season 1-0, coming out, everyone likes to overreact to week one. So I think that this is a big game for both those offenses specifically. We got another question from Ryan. We go, veterans
let's
versus
talk about
rookies for week
Hampton.
one can be shaky. For example, the Chargers rookie running back didn't go off. And we talked about it a little bit earlier in this broadcast with Hampton that, we were excited about the amount of snaps that he got for a rookie week one. But yeah, rookies are going to start slow. For the first couple weeks of the season, they're not as involved. Sometimes you need a breakout game in order to really solidify yourself in the starting lineup. Or, you need somebody in front of you to go down. So I think for the most part, I'm going to lean vets a little bit more than rookies. But for some of these receivers, guys like Abuka, Matthew Golden, Travis Hunter, Tet, I think that their values are just too high and they have too kind of set of a role in their offense to be willing to sit them.
I think for Omarion Hampton, it came down to the matchup, though. And so on a scale from like 1 to 10 on how I feel like Omarion Hampton performed in fantasy, 10 being he's going to be a fantasy star, 1 being he is a complete bust, I think I was kind of like maybe like a 4.5, if 5 is average, where it's like I was slightly disappointed, honestly, in the way that he was running the ball, the way that he carried himself out on the field. I just didn't really feel like he was playing loose. It looked like he was playing really tight, not making a lot of confident moves, and just playing a little tight, scared. And so hopefully we see that kind of develop down the line. This was a really tough matchup. I expected this Kansas City defense to really shut down the run like they did. But what is promising is that he had 15 carries and Najee Harris only had 1. And Najee Harris had 1 target and Omarion Hampton had 2 targets. And so those are both really promising metrics in terms of the workload. He's guaranteed the starter, I think. I'm really confident in that. I know you think Najee's going to get more involved, and Najee will get more involved as he, acclimates to this offense because he's been out all offseason. But I really do think that Hampton is at least in a position to be successful in fantasy football. It just maybe the talent isn't everything that we said, or maybe it was the matchup. And that's what we're going to have to figure out next week when he has, a better opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, again, you'll learn more with week one. I think you really have to, you don't want to go too risky. We haven't seen anything yet. I don't think you can predict upside as well as you can, obviously, later in the season with just not knowing what we've seen. So really stick with the guys that you drafted, first, the guys that you expected to be starters. Don't get lured into, starting some random guy who has some hype. Not saying you can't start guys that are on your bench because they have better matchups, but I think week one, especially, I'm trying to ride it out with
so I want to talk about our start and sit of the week now, because we've only got, 20 minutes left until game time.
Oh yeah.
But Kahan, who is your start of the week, you think? Who are a couple guys that you just think could go off week one? They're going to be the stud in their offense.
Yeah, we talked about a couple different guys for this. So Ricky Pearsall we mentioned him, especially with Jennings potentially being a little bit banged up. 49ers always play pretty well against the Seahawks as well. And so I think he's going to be a great start. Could be in line for a touchdown. Really like Stephon Diggs as well. We have him here on the graphic. Him against the Raiders. The Raiders defense is so bad. And then Aaron Jones always kills the Bears. So I really like Aaron Jones on Monday night. I think the Vikings are going to have a field day when it comes to the Bears defense, which has not looked good and is going to be missing their best linebacker and their best cornerback potentially. So I think Aaron Jones is going to be my start of the week, especially early on in the season when Mason might be a little bit less involved. And before we get to some of your starts of the week, we got a question coming in. We got Tyrone Tracy or David Montgomery. So we've talked a lot about Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, everyone loves Tracy, but Montgomery is going to come in today against the Packers. So what do you think about this one?
Are we going to disagree here again? I'm firmly Tyrone Tracy for this one, especially PPR. I mean, in standard, Monty might be guaranteed a touchdown this week. And so because I think it's going to be a high scoring game in Green Bay, but I'm rolling with Tyrone Tracy for sure with this pass catching upside in this passing matchup. I don't know. I'm confident that Tracy's going to be pretty involved in this one.
Yeah, I think with Tracy, it's just not. I don't think he's gonna do anything special, but I think he has a higher ceiling than Monty even in this situation. I mean, you said I don't even know if Monty's guaranteed a touchdown because we don't know if now at this
I
point.
love Fries is with us.
Yeah, he knows some ball here. I love Fries. You got a name like that. You probably like Fries and you probably like football at the same time. So thanks for chiming in today. But I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be somebody that is going to get you maybe 10 to 15 this week, but Monty's probably getting you the same thing. I think Tracy just has higher upside as a receiving back, which is the bigger deal here. So I think you got to go Tracy on that one. Need help from us. We got Lawrence versus the Panthers, and we got Goff versus the Packers and May versus the Raiders. So I'm guessing it's start one.
Ooh, that's so
This
fun.
this
Yeah,
is
wait,
this is
BB, we
tough.
need to know, is this super flex? Are you starting 2 of these 3 or
Well,
just
let's
1?
just rank them. Let's rank them
Alright,
for now.
yeah.
So I think that my top option is going to be Lawrence here, and I
Oh,
think
really?
And I think that it's like I think that all 3 are good options, to be clear, and
Okay,
he said
start
start
1.
1 here, so we're gonna pick
Drake
1.
May, Drake May, Drake May, Drake May.
It's risky, though. We don't know what this Patriots offense is gonna look
I wanna
like.
see him run. I just wanna see him run all it's the running upside on this Raiders defense. I just think he's gonna run all over them. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs it in for a touchdown, like, now Goff and Lawrence are both in I just think all 3 of these games could actually be pretty high scoring.
I don't like
Oh,
Goff as much. I was between May and because he's just as Goff's going to Lambeau, and that could be a tough
yeah,
area to
no,
play
Goff is
in.
last, yeah.
I like May a lot. I think May is by far the highest upside play. Again, this just depends on how you feel about your lineup and what type of points you need from your quarterback, whether you want a higher upside guy or a higher floor guy. I think Lawrence is easily the higher floor guy because
Yeah,
May definitely had some games last year where he was really bad. So
yeah, definitely.
I think
But
that I think that Lawrence or May, just depending on what your lineup says. And then we had Trey coming in here, Bill Krosky Merritt or Evan Ingram in the flex. Now, I will say about Bill Krosky Merritt is that Chris Rodriguez Jr. actually was ruled as a healthy scratch today, who they claimed a week
wow.
ago was going to be like the bell cow on first and second down. So
Yeah.
I think what this means for the Commanders is one, let's see what that Bill Krosky Merritt snap share looks like this week. But
I
Austin Eckler could be a huge value in fantasy drafts right now. And I don't want to get too away from your question here, but I think Evan Ingram's the clear pick.
I would go in PPR Ingram, but in standard, I'm gonna go Bill because it's just a matter of like I don't think there's gonna be a ton of scoring in this Broncos Titans game. I don't think there's gonna be a ton of passing in general. I think it's gonna just the clock's gonna go wind down really fast. I think there's gonna be a heavy dose of running the football. I think the Broncos defense are just gonna kind of wrap up this Titans offense and try to run it on them. And so because of that, like Ingram might catch a lot of passes because he plays that short joker role and they might involve him in the screen game this week. But if it's not PPR, he kind of scares me a little bit because we could see like a 6 for 45 type of week out of Ingram. And that's okay in a PPR league, but that's like kind of a dud in a standard league. And so in a standard league, I'm much more comfortable with the opportunity for Bill to score against this Giants team, where if the Commanders end up on the 1 yard line or inside the 5, like it really could go Bill's way now that Chris Rodriguez is a healthy scratch. So, I mean, we'll see. He's the only guy that is really like the bowling ball in this offense now with Chris Rodriguez out because Jeremy McNichols is definitely like more of the Austin Eckler style running back.
Yeah, no, I agree. The upside for Bill to have a good game is there. I'm just worried about potentially playing a player that could probably score in between
Right.
0 to 3 points very easily. Like we don't necessarily know. He's a 7th round rookie. And so for me, Evan Ingram, we love Evan Ingram over here.
I
Even if
mean,
he
what's his
gets
line
you,
to score a touchdown right now?
it probably can't be very high if I had to guess. But I think with Ingram, because he didn't say standard. So that makes me think that it's not standard because most leagues are PPR these days. So assuming it's PPR, I think Ingram
Ingram.
higher upside, higher floor as well. He's on a better team. He's a better player. So I think that, I like Evan Ingram a lot in the flex here. I'm curious who your starting tight end might be that, you're potentially starting over Evan Ingram. I'm sure you have one of those top 3 guys, but Evan Ingram in the flex early on in the season could be a huge play. But yeah, so he said PPR super flex here. So I think Ingram is for sure the play in this matchup. But
Ingram's going to be great this year in PPR.
Bill Krosky-Merritt could 100% be a good starting option. I just need to see
it this week. That's fair.
Yeah, so he said he has Kittle, so that makes a lot of sense. You have a really good tight end room, and depending on who your other flex options are down the line, Ingram can definitely start weeks for you in a full PPR format. Let's keep discussing some of these other games. Bengals Browns, very interesting game here where, you know, the Bengals have a terrible defense, Browns have an awful offense. And then you have the Browns, the good defense, Bengals, the good offense, and it's a divisional matchup. So do you think this is going to lean the Browns scoring a lot or the Bengals not scoring a lot? Because obviously it must be a blowout, but I'm not sure. What do you think here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a blowout. First off, I just want to say Bill Krosky plus 210 to score a touchdown this week. So that's pretty good odds. I don't know.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, we'll see. So for the Bills and the Browns and the Bengals, this one's going to be a really fun game because we get to watch the Joe Flacco experience. David Njoku, definitely a start of the week for me. And if you're in a pinch, or if you just don't have, a flex this week, Jerome Ford, a great option because the Bengals are going to put up points. This game is either going to be a blowout or it's going to be a shootout. And I don't really see it going low scoring. I think the Bengals are going to be able to put up at least 21 on the Browns. I would be shocked if they didn't. And it's just really a matter of, can this Joe Flacco offense keep up with them? If they are able to, and it's the Joe Flacco great experience once again, then we can be really happy with. And Njoku will be happy with Judy, Tillman, Jerome Ford. Obviously, I don't think I'm starting Tillman this week. Are you starting Judy?
Yes. Definitely starting Judy.
Great matchup, right? I mean, the scoring potential is so high. So I think all your Browns are in. Abuse them with Joe Flacco, and then the Bengals. You can't take those guys out of your lineup. No. I do think it's going to be a Chase Brown kind of game, but you can't take.
But it's like the
out.
D line for the Browns is looking good. I mean, they picked up.
Well,
Mason
their corners
Graham.
are really good too, though.
That's true. I don't know. I think this game could be more low scoring. I think these Browns-Bengals games are always closer than advertised.
If this Browns defense is a top 5 defense, then maybe it really could be.
Yeah, I just think divisional teams always play closer. So I just think that they know the Bengals. They know how to play them. I think that this could be an interesting matchup. I think Jamar could potentially disappoint this. Obviously, you're starting him, but I think he could disappoint, honestly, a little bit this week if Denzel Ward shadows him, because Ward has had his number, at least comparatively to other corners in the league these last few years. But looking at some of these other games on the slate, we talked about Bucks Falcons being a really potential high scoring game. Really excited to see what Michael Penix can do in his first game of his second season, seeing what Drake London's going to look like without Darnell Mooney. So do you like anyone potentially in like a DFS setting on the Falcons other than Drake London here? If you like Pitts or maybe Ray McLeod, not sure if you have any of these guys in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely looking at a lot of Ray McLeod in those early season best ball and DFS. I have a few of those. I'm definitely high on Drake London this week to just go off because this might be a really high scoring game. I mean, Pitts is definitely a good option. I have him in a few DFS lineups this week, and I think that could be good. It's really just who's going to score all these touchdowns that we expect in this game. I mean, Bijan's going to get his. You're going to see Drake London get his. And then there's probably going to be one other touchdown scorer, and it's either going to go to McLeod or Kyle Pitts probably. And it's just hopefully we can pick which one it's going to be. How many targets do you think Kyle Pitts is going to get this week?
I think he'll get, with Mooney out, which is a big injury, I think he'll get 6 targets. I think Bijan is going to be the second option on the team.
Okay.
I think Bijan will be in for 5 to 6 catches this week. I think Drake's going to lead the pack, but then Bijan comes in, and then I think Ray McLeod will have him, and Pitts will be the next in line of targets.
Yeah. And then the Bucks, I mean, is Cade Otton in your lineups? Is he playing this week? Did they officially rule him available?
I believe he is active for the game. I'm playing him. I would play him if you need a tight end, but he's just ranked so much lower that it is a little bit scary to play him. And
you're not playing him over a stud tight end, but you can, if you're streaming tight ends, he's a great option.
I agree. If you're streaming tight ends, good matchup, could be a high scoring game, good offense.
I would expect a touchdown. with Godwin out last year, he was getting a ton of targets, you know?
Well,
So,
Evans was out during that stretch too, and
and no
McMillan.
Egbuka.
So it was definitely a weird stretch. So I think Auden could be good if he can get in the end zone. But we have Griffin coming in here with a question: Sutton, DJ Moore, or Egbuka in standard scoring? I think we'll probably agree here. I'm gonna go with Courtland Sutton. I think he's just the best guy on the board. If it was PPR, I would consider Egbuka more, but DJ Moore is one of our sits of the week, and I think that in a standard league here, I would just prefer Sutton over Egbuka because I think his touchdown upside is higher.
Yeah, standard is going to make the difference. Wow, there's been a few of those. You guys are in this chat with some good ass questions today because there's a few of them where it's like if it's standard, I'm going one way. If it's PPR, I'm going the other because it's like it's totally comes down to Sutton is just that kind of player in a standard league where wow, that's going to be a good player to have in a standard league though because this week might not be too good for Sutton because, like I said, I think it might be low scoring and ground and pound, but their touchdown upside is always there for Sutton. And in a standard league, you got to take advantage of that, where Egbuka doesn't have that yet. And in a standard league, the question marks are just way, way bigger for Egbuka right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Griffin just let us know that he is a new sub. So appreciate you.
Hell
definitely be rolling in with us.
Man, we love you, Griffin.
We will 100% help you win that championship this year, my friend. But let's talk about some of these
all year we're riding Courtland Sutton. Let's go, Griffin, to the ship.
Oh yeah, Charlie is a Broncos fan. So when he scores 10 touchdowns this year, then you guys will be celebrating together. But before we cap off this live stream, we got a bunch of good 4:00 games this week. You got Niners, Seahawks, Broncos, Titans, Packers, Lions, Texans, Rams. Texans, Rams is not a matchup that we have really talked at all about. Christian Kirk, who is supposed to be the receiver 2 on this team, is now out this week.
Right.
So now you have Jaden Higgins coming in potentially as the receiver 2, and then you have Jalen Noel, who is going to get an opportunity to start in the slot this week. Would you put Higgins at the flex in deeper leagues?
No. I'm not starting either Jalen Noel or Jaden Higgins, but we were talking the other day, or like a few weeks ago, about who would see the slot opportunity if Christian Kirk were to not play sometimes. And so let's monitor this situation. But I do think that Jaden Higgins is going to end up seeing some more slot work than is anticipated if Christian Kirk cannot get on the field eventually. But this is disappointing, because we were both pretty in on Christian Kirk this year. Just CJ Stroud looks like a value. Christian Kirk looked like a value. And obviously Nico is a star wide receiver in the NFL. Are you considering Higgins in the flex?
I think I would consider it. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game against the Rams.
Yeah,
and the Rams don't have
Stafford's healthy.
Yep, and it's not a great secondary in LA. So I think that, Nico Collins is definitely going to eat this week. But if you're looking, like, CJ Stroud's going to air out the ball. I don't think the Texans' run game is going to be anything proficient. So if you're looking at the second target, I think it's Higgins.
Yeah, but oh my God, the offensive line being really bad at pass blocking makes me think that they do want to run the ball, especially with this defense that they have. I expect the Texans to have a top 10 defense for sure, probably better. They're going to be so good. They might be top 5. I mean, but to me, it comes down to Stafford's health. If Stafford is not healthy, I see this game going in a bad direction where the Texans can lock them up and they'll run the ball. But if Stafford is playing good, feels good, feels healthy, is ready to go out there and ball, then this will be one of the best games all week and will totally be high scoring, like you're saying. And then it's smash starts across the board.
Absolutely. And then we'll get on to just our, we talked Vikings, Bears, Ravens, Bills. Before we cap this off, what do you think, Lamar or Allen, who's going to win the game and who's going to have a better fantasy game?
I think they really need to get rid of the Sunday night football song and change it up already. But Bills, Ravens, man, you're Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bills. This one is going to be really fun. I was complaining last night that it bothers me that the NFL schedules these games for week 1 now, when, like, I felt like in like 2013 and stuff, they would always schedule those the 1-versus-1 matchups for the AFC, like in like week 13 or week 15, when it was so much more important and there was snow on the ground and you could watch the Broncos play the Patriots like in such crucial games. And now like it disappoints me that they play these games week 1 because these teams aren't in full, full season mode yet. They're not in their playoff statures yet. And so I don't know. I'm going to always go with Lamar. But
yeah, no, I think I'm with you on this one. I think Lamar could have a better game. I think the Ravens could win this one, honestly, just looking at last year, how the season ended. And, I'm low key secretly hoping with, I know usually when two teams face each other that both make the playoffs, usually the team that loses in the regular season wins in the playoffs. So so hopefully the Bills lose this one and then beat them in the playoffs this year.
I think that's exactly how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it right now. Like I am seeing this AFC Championship game of the Bills and Ravens, and the Bills win it and go to the Super Bowl based off of how this game is played. And that's why I get annoyed by this, where it's like if we had it in week 15, we'd have a much better idea of who these teams are. And it's a waste of a week to me to start off this way. I don't need all this hotness in week 1. I'm excited to just watch some damn football. I don't need to see, Bills and Ravens in a crazy game, or Packers Lions could be later too, because that could be the NFC Championship. So
I get what you're saying there, and like you said, I'm just excited to watch football. And we got kickoff coming up in a couple minutes here, so we are going to
go, boys. Here we go.
Thank you, everybody who tuned in, and everybody
who
wrote down your questions here. Hopefully, we gave you some good answers, and they all work out. Definitely come back next week at
bring
noon
some tougher
Eastern.
questions, guys. Let's go.
We will be here every single week at noon Eastern to answer your guys' start and sit questions on YouTube and X. We're also going to get Instagram up and running next week, as well as potentially TikTok. So definitely make sure to give us a follow on all of those channels. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and enjoy week 1.